There was a, let's see, I'm not going to cover that. So, more news about Mumbai flooding. This is by someone named Carly. What's going on in Mumbai? What's going on indeed? This is some serious flooding going on. But even stranger is how people are just moving around like nothing's going on. People are just walking around in the middle of the street like, yeah, okay. Those are some hardy souls. Hardy souls. Happy Friday. Yes, happy Friday to you. Gaslight Friday, everyone. Thank you for the super chat. I missed one. Did I get that one, Kuro? Thank you. Kuro says Kevin is correct, so always listen to me. I'm kidding. I'm not always correct. Just today. Ha ha ha. Massive flooding and destruction after heavy rain, strong winds batter Mumbai. This is from today, or yesterday, excuse me, breaking its all-time record of the highest 24-hour rain in August. The Kolaba Observatory recorded 293.8 millimeters of rain at 8:30 p.m. on Wednesday, highest in 46 years. The Kolaba Observatory was set up in 1841, while the archive data is available from 1974. Strong winds reaching up to 100 kilometers per hour and heavy rain. They have anyways. Heavy rain continued to lash Mumbai and the Mumbai metropolitan region, uprooting trees, damaging cranes, and tearing down hoardings and awnings. Hoardings and awnings. For the second day running, Mumbai received heavy rain, surpassing the annual seasonal average rain of 2,260.4 millimeters within 2 months and 5 days of the monsoon. Mumbai has so far received 2,319.7 millimeters of rain. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Wednesday called up Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray and assured him all possible support. Mumbai's island city received this season's most intense showers, recording 229.6 millimeters of rain in 9 hours between 8:30 a.m. and 5:30 p.m. on Wednesday, highest to be recorded in 22 years for August. Again, they're just getting it and getting it and getting it and getting it some more. Environmental Coffee House. Yes, the mask business is great. Look at the ads. I mean, yeah. You want to start a business? Start making masks. Here's a story that will hopefully make you really upset. It made me upset. Oregon man arrested for intentionally running down 6 pronghorn antelope with pickup truck. Apparently, he hated pronghorn antelope. How can you hate pronghorn antelope? I don't understand. Humans. An Oregon man was arrested in May for intentionally running down a group of 6 pronghorn antelope in Central Oregon. Officials said Thursday Michael Scott Phillips, 48, of Christmas Valley, told authorities that he did it because he hates pronghorn. The Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife said in a statement Phillips admitted to the incident. Officials said, telling investigators that on April 26, he came across the group of animals standing on Fossil Lake Road near Christmas Valley, accelerated to about 60 miles per hour and struck the pronghorn with his truck. Investigators found no sign he attempted to slow down or stop. Oregon State Police, who responded to the scene, found 5 females and 1 pronghorn dead. Their horns had been removed, and one of the females had been cut open, and an unborn fawn, Jesus, had been removed from her body and placed on top of her carcass. What an asshole. I'm wondering how much time this guy is going to get in jail. Probably not a lot. The incident occurred during fawning season. She likely would have given birth within a month. Investigators received a tip that Phillips had been heard bragging about the incident, saying he had hit the animals, left to get a hamburger. Oh, yeah. Then returned to collect the horns as trophies. Yeah, America, yeah. 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 Again, I'm not a violent person, but that man needs some violence. Oregon man mistakes driving for video game. That's right, Cougar W. Keith Hayes that has to fuck up his truck. I was going to say, I wish that would have been a point at which he won a Darwin Award. Like, too bad he didn't hit the pronghorn and go skidding off the highway into a bunch of trees, killing himself instantly. That would have been a really great ending to that story. Psychopath, indeed, asked the animals. Sandy, that dude is probably a serial killer. Well, he is a serial killer. He just killed 6 pronghorn. 7, if you include the baby. Just, unbelievable amounts of psychopathy and hubris from human beings. This is a tweet from Henry Macau. It's an interesting story. I'm glad he brought it to my attention. He didn't bring it to my attention personally, but China hoovers up all sea life and is decimating endangered species near Darwin's Galapagos Islands. Scientists warn it's devastating to see this level of destruction. These people are emptying our oceans of life and filling our beaches with plastic. And by these people, I'm sure he meant all people, but anyways, let's read the article. China's 300-mile fishing fleet, which is visible from space and hoovers up all sea life, is decimating endangered species, and plastic waste thrown overboard is polluting the shores of Darwin's Galapagos Islands, scientists warn. Stretching for miles across the horizon, a vast armada of Chinese fishing boats trawl the pristine waters. Close to the Galapagos Islands, ostensibly fishing squid, the real target for the 265-strong fleet. That is a lot of boats, Jesus. Are sharks to serve the appetite for expensive fin soup, costing up to 350 pounds a bowl. In markets across China and Hong Kong, night and day, the vessels, many the size of a football pitch, ransack the seabed, scooping up not only whale and hammerhead sharks, but other species, including turtles and birds. The scale is staggering. When a single vessel was intercepted straying into the protected waters around the Galapagos three years ago, 300 tons of refrigerated scalloped hammerhead shark fins were found. Since then, the cluster of islands where Charles Darwin first developed his theory of evolution by natural selection have become the epicenter of the multi-billion-pound industry. The fleet may be far out to sea, but the impact is increasingly visible on the beaches, where plastic bottles bearing Chinese writing and discarded by fishermen come ashore by the hundred every day. Islanders accuse the government of Ecuador, the nation that the Galapagos belong to, of failing to do enough to tackle the problem. A few half-hearted complaints have been shrugged off by Beijing, but as the fleet operates in international waters just outside the Galapagos exclusive economic zone, where there are no laws regulating fishing, why? Ecuador's options are limited. However, critics suspect another consideration. The $4.5 billion pound of infrastructure loans that China has poured into Ecuador as part of its Belt and Road Initiative. That's why. To massively increase Beijing's power and influence around the world. Well, if money talks and biosphere walks. How about that for a hashtag? What do you guys think? So you've got the money, you can pay off the government, and you can give the government money, whether you're in the United States or whether you're in Ecuador, wherever you happen to live, and you can give them money. And it's like, we want to do this stuff over here. We want to drill for oil, or we want to fish for sharks, or we want to kill whales, or whatever it is. We want to test, nuclear bombs, whatever it is. And, the government's like, okay, thanks for the money. The Ecuadorian government is seeking to pay off its debt with China by giving it to the Galapagos, claims an online petition that has garnered thousands of signatures. We firmly believe that this should not be in negotiation. The wonders of the Galapagos are ours. The campaign to protect marine life may have found its figurehead, Hope, a whale shark given a GPS tracker that name by conservationists last year recently vanished. It was last traced to an area where the fishing fleet was operating. Well, that's what happened to Hope, guys. Hope disappeared. On the islands, British biologist Esme Plunkett, 23, says, I have never known such anger. Locals are devastated to see what these fishing fleets are doing. I've begun collecting the plastic that is washing up. But you just feel powerless. I spoke to my mom the other day and just began crying down the phone. It's devastating to see this level of destruction. These people are emptying our oceans of life and filling our beaches with plastic. Norman Ray, president of the Galapagos Governing Council, agrees these boats are having a huge and terrible impact on the local environment. They come to this part of the world every year because it is teeming with life, but their actions are threatening to destroy that life forever. We are facing the separate threat of vast quantities of plastic and even oil drums washing up on our beaches. Oh, hooray. 25,000 plastic bottles being thrown into the sea each day. Washed up among the Galapagos iguanas, huge numbers of discarded Chinese-labeled plastic bottles threaten to ruin the island's pristine beaches and rich biodiversity. Experts believe that the estimated 25,000 bottles thrown overboard by Chinese fishermen every day, some of which are pictured below, pose the greatest threats to the island's iguanas, tortoises, birds, and fish. There you go. Well, isn't that depressing? Isn't that depressing? Every country, almost every country is involved in some kind of biosphere destruction, but especially the big ones, right? The U.S., the China, the Japan, the Russia, the Europes. Russ Taylor, most of the historical wisdom comes from ancient China. How did they come to this? It's called capitalism. Money, my friend, money. And the promise of, 2 cars in every driveway, and everybody owns a washing machine, everybody has all the things. Anyways, let's move on. So let's move through some ice destabilization news. Ancient ice loss in Antarctica's most stable region paints a bleak picture of what could come. This is from July 22nd by Yesenia Fuentes. A new paper suggests that East Antarctica ice sheet may not be as stable as we thought. Looking at ancient melting, the study finds evidence that this piece of the Antarctic experienced melting 400,000 years ago when the world was 1.8 to 3.6 degrees Fahrenheit, or 1 to 2 degrees Celsius warmer. Where are we at right now? Enough ice melt could have occurred here to raise the sea by about 10 to 13 feet. Published in Nature on Wednesday, these findings add to a growing body of literature around historic ice loss in East Antarctica. It appears scientists today should, in fact, be worried about how global warming will affect the region that's been considered stable. In 2017, a team of researchers uncovered evidence based on sediment data that suggested the region's glaciers had undergone cycles of advance and retreat. This challenged the idea that this part of Antarctica had remained frozen for millions of years. In 2019, researchers found that the region is already seeing some ice loss, even if it's minor compared to the destruction happening in West Antarctica, where warm seawater is eating away floating ice shelves that buttress the land ice. Now, this new paper further raises the alarm. Researchers at the University of California, Santa Cruz, University of Washington, and University of Kansas assessed 3 samples of subglacial sediment to see what minerals have accumulated beneath the ice historically. The team looks specifically at the Wilkes Basin, a huge swath of ice that covers an area roughly the size of France. They were able to date the opal and calcite found in their samples taken near the Pensacola Mountains of Elephant moraine in East Antarctica using specific uranium isotope that accumulates where rock and water meet. For prolonged periods of time, floating ice can trap these isotopes in place in the sediment record, but open ocean can flush them out. So there you go. Faster than expected. Hashtag faster than expected, right? Again, the news, but Kevin, the NFL. Yes, Jay Ackert. How about that baseball game yesterday? No. Hey, some people play sports for a living. I don't know, whatever. Some people like to watch sports. It's kind of ridiculous. It seems a little bit ridiculous to be. Why are you being such a hater, Kevin? But yes, all these things, all these major sports leagues are contributing to the climate destruction. So I'm like, thumbs down. I'm thumbs down to climate destruction. Anyways, so that is happening. And this rather large news, but who knows how many people are paying attention? Certainly not the mainstream media. Last fully intact ice shelf in Canadian Arctic collapses. Last. Did I say last? Last. Fully intact ice shelf in Canadian Arctic collapses. This is from yesterday. The last fully intact ice shelf in the Canadian Arctic has collapsed, losing more than 40% of its area in just 2 days at the end of July, researchers said on Thursday. Holy shnikes. The Milne ice shelf is at the fringe of Ellesmere Island. And this is kind of in conjunction or on the heels of what I was reporting, was it just yesterday or the day before, about the ice caps collapsing, other ice caps in the Canadian Arctic collapsing. In the sparsely populated northern Canadian territory of Nunavut, above normal air temperatures, offshore winds, and open water in front of the ice shelf are all part of the recipe for ice shelf breakup, the Canadian Ice Service said on Twitter when it announced the loss on Sunday. Entire cities are that size. These are big pieces of ice, said Luke Copland, a glaciologist at the University of Ottawa who was part of the research team studying the Milne ice shelf. The shelf's area shrank by about 80 square kilometers. By comparison, the island of Manhattan in New York covers roughly 60 square kilometers. This is the largest remaining intact ice shelf, and it's disintegrated, basically, Copland said. The Arctic has been warming at twice the global rate for the last 30 years due to a process known as Arctic amplification, but this year temperatures in the polar region have been intense. The polar sea ice hit its lowest extent for July in 40 years. Record heat and wildfires have scorched Siberian Russia. Summer in the Canadian Arctic this year in particular has been 5 degrees Celsius above the 30-year average, Copland said. So we were looking at this. That has not threatened smaller ice caps. That has threatened smaller ice caps, which can melt quickly because they do not have the bulk that larger glaciers have to stay cold. And as a glacier disappears, more bedrock is exposed, which then heats up and accelerates the melting process. The very small ones, we're losing them dramatically, he said, citing researchers' reviews of satellite imagery. You feel like you're on a sinking island chasing these features, and these are large features. It's not as if it's a tiny little patch of ice you find in your garden. The ice shelf collapse on Ellesmere Island also meant the loss of the northern hemisphere's last known epichelf lake, a geographic feature in which a body of fresh water is dammed by the ice shelf and floats atop ocean water. The last known epichelf. So a lot of lasts here, as in no more. A research camp, including instruments for measuring water flow through the ice shelf, was lost when the shelf collapsed. It's lucky we were not on the ice shelf when this happened, said researcher Derek Mueller of Carleton University in Ottawa. Isn't that where Paul Beckwith works? In a August 2 blog post. Ellesmere also lost its 2 St. Patrick Bay ice caps this summer. And that's what we covered in the last video. We saw them going like someone with terminal cancer. It was only a matter of time, said Mark Serez from the NSIDC. Meanwhile, another 2 ice caps on Ellesmere called Murray and Simmons are also diminishing and are likely to disappear within 10 years, Serez says. Again, alarming news out of the Arctic as the situation there deteriorates. We have 160 viewers, 80 likes. Please like up the video, guys. And lastly, so there are many things happening in the Arctic. Some new information from Zach Labe, partly due to some of the chat that was going on before the video. Poppy brought this up. So I went and dug it up before I started this live stream. But here, Zach Labe saying dramatic slowdown in Arctic sea ice extent loss as a result of a change in recent weather conditions. He says a record low unlikely. Okay, well, who knows? I mean, that's good news for sure, if that's actually true. But it looks like, in particular, sea ice remains extensive in the Beaufort Sea due to some older, thicker ice and colder temperatures. So it looks like 2020 has veered off the path of, lowest ice extent on record and veered into the path of, well, the last lowest. Now we're on track with 2012 at the very moment. So we were on track to be lower. We were actually lower than 2012 at one point. Now veering into 2012 territory. Still, 2012 being the lowest year for ice extent yet. That was a record-setting year. So we are still in the path of tying record low ice extent. Let's look and see if he has anything else to say around this. We've been seeing graphs from other areas of the Arctic showing extremely low sea ice, but here's the Beaufort sea ice, squarely not in the lowest ever range, but that's good. That's good news. If we could not BOE this year, that would be great, right? In in context of this year being what it is, it would be really awesome if this wasn't the year that we saw a BOE in the Arctic. However, this year is a really good time to start taking the situation seriously, or sounding the alarm, or alerting people to the fact that there isn't a lot of time before climate catastrophe hits, climate calamity. takes over every part of our lives. Arctic sea ice annual minimum. So we are still actually below 2012 as far as a minimum goes. According to this graph, we are below the minimum. So, you know, Zach Labe might be just putting on his hopium hat or his optimist hat. I don't know. Saying that we are not. Oh, you guys couldn't see that. I'm sorry. Did you guys see any of those graphs? I apologize. Apologize if you didn't. Anyways, I'll try and show them to you now. But here we are, Arctic sea ice now. It looks like we're in the path of 2012. Beaufort sea ice, obviously in the middle of the pack there. However, here, Arctic sea ice annual minimum, we are still below the record year of 2012. As of, when was this posted? As of yesterday. So, maybe we're not out of the woods yet. Maybe we're still going to see a BOE this year. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. Of course, it's a matter of time, really. Gene Hammers, 2020 is not the worst. Gigabane, check out Just Have a Think video on liquid air storage. I have made a more in-depth comment on the subject. Okay, I will check that out. I like Just Have a Think's videos. He seems to engage in a lot of techno-hopium, but I mean, whatever. Techno-hopium might be all we have at this point. Most likely. Who knows? Gene asks, disappointed? Are you disappointed as in no BOE? I'm not disappointed at all, because that means like a little, another possible year of some semi-normalcy. I'm really not looking forward to Mad Max or, the next step in collapse. I'm not really looking forward to that. I prefer a managed retreat from capitalism myself, or a managed degrowth paradigm, not a people descending into, madness, panic paradigm. But I don't know. Technodopium. Trump altered that with a Sharpie? Maybe. Sharpie Ice Extend, yes. See, it's not low. It's not, Another year of fascism? Yes, Scott Andrews, yes. Technohopium versus the 1,000 years of CO2. Osama says, today we are tied with 2012 extent in the Arctic. So today we are tied. Donald McCarthy says an acre of 10-meter ice is not the same as an acre of slush. Strangely, I saw another graph somewhere saying that the ice was more slushy a few years ago, although it seems, all the evidence points to the fact that the volume is not what it was, and that, that's what I wanted to show you guys. Before we go, I apologize. Before we go, let me see if I can bring this up. I forgot to load this into my... Hold on one second. Let me see if I can do this quickly. can, I do it quickly. I guess I can. I think I can. Can you guys see that? Yes, you can. This is the state of the Arctic ice as per Climate Reanalyzer. I got this from Patrick. If you guys can see that, that's looking very, very thin, very slushy, as per Climate Reanalyzer. Hey guys, remember to like, share, and subscribe, and you can support the channel at the links below, PayPal, Patreon, Square. Also, if you'd like to watch the live streams, you can watch the live streams on my Patreon channel. You can subscribe for as little as $1. So hopefully I will see you over there, and thanks so much.